I'm so excited to welcome Wendy Glaister Interiors, and Ann Ueno Interior Design, who are here to talk a bit about how, in this very challenging couple of years we've had, they have very successfully made lemonade out of some of the lemons that have come our way in the way of the interior design business. So welcome to both of you. Let's just start really quickly, have you guys introduce yourselves just a little bit more, tell us a little bit about your business, how long you've been in business, and what does your firm look like? Go ahead, Ann.
Okay, I'm Ann Ueno. I run an interior design firm based in Miami. We focus on residential, and we also have projects nationwide as well. We have another arm of our business that's business coaching and a product line as well, which we're going to unpack today, so I won't reveal too much. I'm a self-taught designer. Did not go to design school. Used my corporate gifts, my corporate America gifts, and started my firm about 3 years ago.
My name is Wendy Glaister. I've been a practicing interior designer in Central California, about an hour and a half away from San Francisco, for 16 years. Midway, I went back to school because I did get a formal education in design. I was going to be the single breadwinner in my home, and I really wanted the chops, probably for myself than for anyone else. We do luxury residential interior design that's very approachable. We exercise a lot of stewardship, and I also do a lot of writing for trade magazines and then speaking here and there when asked to.
Excellent. Well, looking forward to diving into your stories. The first area I want to talk about, because I thought it was really interesting that you took different paths this past year, was, client focus. And Wendy, let's start with you, because I know you, in some ways, narrowed your client focus these past couple of years. Can you talk to us a little bit about why you made that choice and how it's helped with your profit and your business?
Sure. So when I first started, like everyone else, I said yes to all the projects. And I was so grateful to be working, and I needed the work, and it was really good. And it gave me a lot of opportunities to learn about my gift mix and my deficiencies. And I think, like everyone else, when the pandemic hit, you really had to get to know yourself really quickly, and what you really could deliver and what you couldn't. And so I realized that I had to be a little more purposeful about the clients that I select. So a lot of it has to do with fit in terms of personality. And then I also do renovation work or homes from blueprint. I no longer start at the furniture level, because I found that I didn't get to know my clients the way I wanted to, or deliver the rooms that I felt really met them where they were and gave them the kind of loving attention I wanted to give them without knowing who they were. It gave me too much anxiety, so I kind of reversed the process.
Super interesting. And Ann, I know you've broadened in some ways, so talk to us about why that was the right choice for your business and how that's worked out.
Yeah, so actually, Pam, who's here, we were in a training about 8 months ago or so, and I had this revelation that I grew up in the hotel business, and there's 3 sort of tiers of hotels, generally speaking, right? You have your lower end tier, your mid tier, and your luxury tier. And I had this aha moment that design should be the same, right? Like, everyone deserves a beautiful home, and everyone deserves to travel. And if the hotel world can do that successfully, we can do it successfully. And what we have found is that taking on the smaller clients, the one-room projects that's just decor and furnishing, over time, we get them when they get a promotion and they're moving into another apartment, or they're gonna move into a home, and then they have a baby, and then we get the nursery, and then they're gonna build a home. We have found that, and it brings us so much joy to continue the relationship. Like, I think there's a balance of business and like what sets our souls on fire. And we have just found that growth and walking alongside of clients when they start small and get bigger is just, it fuels our souls. So, and as a business owner, I get to make that decision on what we get to do. So it's been incredible, and there's some cons to it as well. But that's on us to create the right processes, the right boundaries, the right standards. If you're coming in at this level, this is what you get. If you're coming in at our level 1, is what we call it internally, you're going to get a full service experience. So I think for the designers that are listening, it's just important to have the systems and processes in place to serve those clients where they're at in their journey and ensuring that it's profitable for you as well. So we've enjoyed it. That's the future of where we're going to go for our business.
So for everybody, watching, profitability, you could drive it two ways, and we're certainly going to talk about the efficiency side of things. But the other way is obviously to drive more revenue, and revenue models. So let's start kind of at the top of the funnel there, and talk a little bit about how you've been creative expanding your revenue opportunities. Ann, you want to talk a little bit about your thoughts there?
Sure. So one thing that happened to me during COVID, right when COVID hit, it was like within the first month, I remember getting a couple of calls from clients like, okay, we're going to pause because we don't know if we're going to have a job tomorrow. So we certainly don't know if we can afford you and this project. So we all sort of had a panic moment, I think, in the industry and in our personal lives as well. And so I decided to pivot into e-design. That was sort of what everyone was doing. Like, let me go that route because it'll be more affordable. And I did that. And it was not the right decision for us and our business at the time. And so I thought, okay, well, I still have to keep this business afloat. We still had clients. A few, said, let's pause. But it was in that moment that I thought, what can I offer the world right now? What can I offer people? And how can I help serve my community and serve our followers and serve our clients? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to coach people because I know that there are other women and men that were in a similar position as me, that they wanted to be a designer. They didn't have the education, and so they felt like they're going to have imposter syndrome. There's no way that they're going to succeed. No one's going to believe in me. Why would somebody hire me? That was me for many years, and that's why I didn't do it until I did it. And so I felt like, you know what? That's what I can do. So I created a business coaching program for emerging, aspiring, and new interior designers, and it took off. We had like full capacity at our first sort of marketing push. And we've built this incredible community. So it's revenue driving. Last night I went to dinner with one of my former students, and we help each other. We give each other, vendor contacts and advice, and we call each other when clients are being difficult to make sure that we have some peer-to-peer therapy, if you will. But no, that has expanded our revenue in the business. And again, it lights my soul on fire. So it's a win-win across the board. And we're serving people and pushing people into their calling.
Amazing. And obviously you get a lot of, good feelings out of that. It's a positive experience, and everyone needs a little bit more positive energy going in and coming out these days. So it's wonderful to hear about that. Wendy, I know you've been creative in other ways, kind of partnering with the retail partners, your local retail partners. So talk a little bit about how that came about, and what's been the impact on your business.
Several years ago, I was on a tour bus with a lot of interior designers who were very, very experienced. And at the time, I was in that podcast swirl of overcoming the imposter syndrome. Even though I'd gone to school and was ASID, I don't know that that ever really goes away, because it's a creative endeavor and you're just praying for the next great thought. But on this bus, all these designers were talking about how they were having trouble from their flooring manufacturer and their plumbing manufacturer and their lighting manufacturer and their wallpaper manufacturer, and they're on and on. And I was at that point where I was thinking, gee, should I buy a warehouse, get a truck and a staff, and do the white glove delivery and the whole, maybe I should go all in. And what about insurances and being a full-time employer? And then we were on that bus for a good 5 hours. And at the end, I thought, nope. Thank you, Jesus, for the answer to that question. And so at the time, I was pushing quite a bit of product through my local retailers. We have an exceptional lighting store, Phillips Lighting and Home, in my hometown, Modesto. We have two very good furniture resources, very fine furniture, and then more approachable furniture and accessories. A flooring company that was very deliberate about reaching out and cooperating with me. Even the same with my slab fabricator. It was amazing to see that when I approached them and said, I really want to build a solid team forever. And I'm just kind of wondering, what does that look like? If I can push a certain amount of volume through your stores, can you help me? Because I don't want to compete with you. I want all of us to celebrate. I want all of us to be tagged on those photos on Instagram and go to dinner at the end of the year and have champagne and be happy for each other. So we've set up a system where I'm essentially their outside salesperson for all of my clients. And there's a percentage basis that goes with that. And I don't have any overhead, and I don't have a huge full-time staff, and I don't have California workers' comp insurance, and I don't have, and it's been really neat too, because as we've all gotten to know each other, we really honor each other's spaces and the zone of genius for each vendor. And we get to celebrate all the time, and we've all become great friends. So I feel like between the emotional boom to me and then the help with outside sales, it's been extremely effective and good for everybody.
How good is that?
It's
Yeah.
brilliant, right?
Right.
I mean,
So
it's like
grateful.
free money because you were doing it anyway.
Exactly.
It's crazy. I mean, it's brilliant. So hats off to you for that idea.
Thank you.
And speaking of products, Ann, I know one of the ways you've diversified is kind of doing your own product lines. What have you learned from that experience?
Oh, let me count the ways. So another thing we did during COVID, as you do, is you create a face mask line. So COVID hits, and here's the story. I'm in my best friend's backyard, and I'm like trying to buy a face mask from Kate Lester. She's a wonderful interior designer in California that I adore. And she had these beautiful face masks. And this is like a month after COVID hit, where we all had to buy face masks. We still have to buy face masks. And they kept selling out. And my best friend is sitting with me, and we're having wine. And she's like, Ann, just make your own. And I was like, really? Honestly, that night, we figured it out. She's way smarter than I am. We figured it out. I launched it within a week, and it was a very profitable, revenue-driving channel and product for a season, right? I sold out of them. Everyone wanted kids ones, so we created some for kids. And I think what it did for my business, because that's a little off the topic from interior design, but I think it exposed me to new customers. It makes, the traffic to our website increased, our search engine optimization thus increased. Then we get more leads from, people, because Google is ranking us higher. So there was a peripheral effect on that on top of the revenue. And then from there we did wallpaper, and now we have pillows, which are a little bit more appropriate for interior design
business.
And there are no more face masks. So those are all sold out. Go to the Gap or Target.
Love it. A great story, and super enlightening that you can start small and expand from there and learn from it. Wendy, you kind of mentioned the overhead with employees. I know that though you did get comfortable and finally said, hey, maybe employee makes sense. And I think what you discovered during that process is not only was it helpful for you personally, but it was profitable. So how should people switch their thinking that maybe an employee is less of an expense and more of a profit driving tool?
Well, again, back to the podcast swirl of I should be doing and learning and all the wonderful things all the time. I had listened to a Luann Nigara podcast years ago, and she had talked about hiring employees. And in California, hiring employees is daunting. It's not like Florida.
I was going to say, just move to Miami, where you can do whatever you want all days of the year.
Yeah, and I grew up in a little family-owned company, and so I watched the dynamics of employees in my parents' business, and I was just really scared to do that. So at first I did contract only, and that was fine, but I missed the real collaboration. And I miss being able to really set a tone. And for me, my faith-based design-driven thing requires a very specific kind of person. So I was very fortunate. And my very first hire is part-time, but she is Stephanie, and she's wonderful, and she's my parents' neighbor. Woo! And so they vetted her for me, which was wonderful. But I did learn from that podcast with Luann, you should mark that up 3 times. You should be able to do that. I don't get quite to that level because in our area, I don't think that it's sustainable over time, but it does help a lot. And especially because there's so much more to your business and the expenses than yourself and your office overhead, all the insurances and all of the advertising and your website maintenance and you go on and on and on, but just trying to drive that revenue yourself is challenging. And then you're so overwhelmed too because you have no one to bounce ideas off of or take off the load. So I think emotionally and financially, it really makes good sense. And I am super cautious. So if I can do it, you guys can do it probably a lot better than I did.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off that, because I had a similar story where you're scared, like when is the right time to hire and how much money do you have to have in the bank? And I took a leap of faith, and now she's right now. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful.
This is a good topic. Yes,
yeah.
So speak to her.
Yeah, so I'll never forget. And the irony is Pam is sitting here. She took my business coaching, and then we did one-on-one coaching, and she wanted to be a designer. And I'm like, dying. I'm overwhelmed. I have so much work. I don't know what I'm doing in the business. And we're on this coaching call, and it was like, Pam, do you want to work for me? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what I can afford, but do you want to quit your high-paying corporate job at Avianca Airlines and come work for me for a fraction of that without a 401k and without health insurance? And she said yes. And she's still here with me a year later. And our revenues have almost doubled. And I don't find that coincidental. Expenses have gone up too, right? We're talking profit, but we're able to reach more clients. We're able to be in more people's homes and build relationships. And so there's so many benefits to that in addition to the revenue and profitability side as well. So,
and I think too, your clients will notice, if it's the right hire, and I really feel like we've been very blessed and fortunate, your clients will say, oh, you seem like more relaxed. How are you doing? Is it working out great? And they can see your smile. They're like, we're so happy, and we thought you needed help, and it's just a wonderful fit, and we love her. I mean, some of my toughest cookie clients are like, is Stephanie going to come over and help me with my wreath today? When will she be here? And then they'll send little texts like, she's so wonderful. We love her. I'm like, I do too. No.
And I didn't have to come and work on that today. And,
it's just,
taken care of.
Yeah, most of this business is going forward even though you're scared. Because fear isn't real. It's just a construct. And I know from our background, it's really irrelevant. And if you can figure that out and just make careful, prayerful choices, it is so much more than you could ever imagine. And it's completely worth suffering through those first few scary steps so that you can arrive where you are. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, because imposter syndrome is real. And every woman feels it. It's totally typical. There's a book I love called Women Don't Ask. And kind of the same thing as your podcast. It gives you all the facts so that you can actually, even though you're terrified, say, I know this is the right thing to do. I'm just going to go through the motions even though I'm terrified.
Yeah.
And then if you do it 10 times, it starts to get easier.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what happens. You have to kind of push through the fear and make it happen.
Yeah. And we all know this. You see it on Pinterest or on the memes on Instagram, fail harder and make mistakes. Do those things. Fail harder, make the mistakes, because this is what it means to be an entrepreneur. If you're not willing to fail and try things and take risks and say a lot of prayer while you're doing those things, you're going to be stuck. You're not going to grow. You're not going to step into your calling the way that you could otherwise. So I'm all for taking the risks.
Amazing. So I think it's a good segue in the same way that your employees have been a support network. you can't do it all yourself. You have to be creative about tapping into others. And I know both of you have been creative about putting together partnerships that have helped move your business forward. Wendy, I think we talked about how, you've been able to kind of build more credibility and authority in your local market in some creative ways. Talk a little bit how you've done that and how it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg.
Yeah, so my first trying to overcome fear thing was with Ellie, and she is here at Houzz Pro, and I signed up with her. That was my first big step of faith, to be on Houzz Pro and to start advertising aggressively and owning part of my profile. And it worked out amazing. And I was so grateful. And we had some terrific feedback. And now clients can leave reviews and it's not awkward. And then that gave me the confidence when I was approached by a local magazine to start writing for them. So when I'd go to markets, I'd collect all the photos and I would take all the notes and go home and write about trends and different things that are happening in design. And through the markets, I got to meet people from Furniture Today and Designers Today and Furniture Lighting Decor. And all of those magazines are amazing and they're run by people that you would just love. And so it all builds on each other. As you kind of earn your chops in a little way, it can kind of compound and compound. And then you do have the confidence to say, yes, I can do that for you. Yes, I will show up for you and do this tour. Yes, I will sit up here with Ann and Liza and talk to you guys about it. So it's baby steps, but again, it's okay to take them. It's okay to take a risk on yourself because you know deep down what you can deliver. And that is the critical part, I think.
100%. And I think we talked about the Florida Home Show and some of the retail partners. Like how have you, where did you get the ideas and what made you reach out?
I have to say this, that I come from digital marketing for 16 years in the hotel business. And so I believe in it. I believe in brand marketing. It works. Okay. It's worth the time. It's worth the energy. And I've been pursued by companies and businesses and mostly because of Instagram. And I don't have 100,000 followers. It's not that you have to be that big, but you have to have a presence and you have to show who you are and, give people a feeling of your personal side. I believe this, and your business side. I think that's helped me a lot. And right before COVID, the Florida Home Show approached me and, they said, hey, we've been following you on Instagram and we love what you're doing. Do you want to be one of the designers at the show? And I'm like, imposter syndrome, like, is this a different Ann Ueno? Like, are you sure? Because I just started this business not that long ago. Okay, sure. I'll be a designer at the Florida Home Show in Miami within like a year of starting this business. So we did that, and they're an incredible partner of mine. They always are promoting me. They're always asking what they can do for me. We do the same for them. It's a relationship. It's a partnership. So that's been incredible. But I credit the branding and the marketing. I really do. I think that's key in the success. There's other things too. There's other ways to get those partnerships. And then same like Ann Sachs, for example, is a wonderful vendor. I love their tiles. We're big advocates for them. And, every time we post about them and we write our blogs, we're crediting them. We're sharing. We tell everybody where we source things. A lot of people are like, oh, you don't tell where you get your stuff from. I'm like, why? Why would I keep this a secret? I want everyone to know. I want to help people. And sure enough, Ann Sachs comes to us and says, hey, we want to buy your photos. And I'm like, what? You want to buy my photos? Well, first of all, they're my photographer's photos. So my photographer made money. Then on the website, we source from them, and we'll often go to the website and like, oh, there's our project. We forgot about that. And, we were featured in their blog. And so we just have this beautiful relationship where we help each other and sort of sell each other in a way. And it's been very advantageous for us at AUID. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. One of the things we talked about when we were preparing for this are tools for growth. Employees obviously made a big tool for growth, partnerships. Talk a little bit about the technology and the marketing side, and how some of those have helped you guys grow.
Like Houzz Pro?
Like Houzz Pro. Well, you can tell the little story you just told me.
Oh, should I tell
Yeah,
it?
you should tell it.
Okay. Okay, we'll start on a high. Well, it's all a high note with Houzz Pro. We are not paid by Houzz Pro, just so you know.
No.
I literally love the platform, but I was pursued 2 weeks ago by HGTV Magazine to be featured in their March issue, which is a dream come true for any designer. Thank you. I love you, by the way. What's your name? What's your name? Melissa. Oh, perfect. It's her sermon for today.
Saying it's her sermon for today.
We're preaching.
Go, ladies.
I love it. I love it.
Love this. We're gonna do Q&A after this.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna give it all away. So they emailed me and they're gonna feature me. And again, I'm like, oh, are they really reaching out to me on this? Like, this is crazy. And so I said, where did you find me? And they said, we found you on Houzz.
And it's interesting.
I can't make this up.
That's
We did not-
incredible.
yeah.
Well,
we
and
hear
I
these
think
all the time. Yeah.
what Ann is saying, I mean, she's been very, very deliberate about her branding. If you look at her Instagram feed, it's spectacular. It's very, very
Thank
curated.
you.
And she knows who she is, who she wants to be as a professional and as a designer, and that is very clearly communicated. And I think that's really important. I feel like sometimes people confuse their private life with their business life on Instagram and on other outlets, and I would highly discourage you from doing that. Please don't do that. Just watch Ann and do what she does. Also to Houzz Pro, it's been interesting because I was really fortunate, and different media outlets, even across the pond, found me because of the search engine on Houzz Pro. So Lux Life magazine, based in the UK, gave me top designer in California 2021.
Yes.
But it's interesting though, because if you look at the vernacular that they publish on their website and why they gave that to me, everything is lifted right off the Houzz Pro profile, like verbatim. So, and that's happened more than once. So as a search engine, it's super helpful, and I think more valuable than a lot of people give it credit for.
Yeah.
And so, kind of on the software side, on just running your business, Wendy, maybe talk a little bit about what tools do you use and why.
This is a famous story at Houzz. Anybody who knows Risa will believe in this story, because when I was at Las Vegas Market like 4 years ago, I was really struggling. I hate QuickBooks, and I hated sitting there one Sunday a month, plugging in all the hours and billing everything out. And my husband hated how much I hated it, and my son hated how much I hated it. And I was just like, it was a hot point in my life, and I was exasperated and angry. And Risa showed me on this little app on Houzz Pro, you just enter in your time as you drive away from your client.
The stopwatch.
Yeah. I have an hourly framework, and bill in your travel time as you drive to your, it was on my phone. And I looked at her, and tears of joy started streaming down my face. She's like, oh my God, you're like the funnest, cutest. I'm like, no, you don't know what this means to me. And it changed my life. And then it was great because yesterday on the IDS tour, I got to meet some really nice gals, and they're not really well versed in CAD drawings, and it makes them feel a little bit of the imposter syndrome, and it makes them feel inadequate. And they have that whole 3D planning tool. I mean, it's not for construction, but you're not really going to walk into a cabinet guy's shop, at least the way we run our businesses, and say, build it like that. It's going to be collaborative, so it's the best thing. And but it makes a great presentation to clients, and they can see, like it's all fancy on HGTV. They can see it too, and that helps them have more confidence in who you are as a professional. It's a level up without blood, sweat, and tears, crying at night, trying to figure out SketchUp and the new upload.
Yeah, Wendy's talking about the 3D floor planning tool where
It
you
is
can
so
build the
cool.
2D plan, the 3D
Yeah.
plan, and now we just launched here an augmented reality in real leaf walkthrough where you can take your phone and actually walk through the space you built in your client's house and show them what it's going to look like in real life.
You look super snazzy.
Yeah.
Like, you look super smart. And I walk you with my little iPad, and I do my little thing, and I take my little notes, and I show them, and they're like, "That's amazing." I'm like, "It sure is." It's every little bit helps, right? I mean, that's why we're here, to help each other. So I highly recommend you goof off with it for a bit and feel better about how you do those things.
Yeah, one thing at a time. You can try it and expand. And Ann, how about you?
Yeah, so also in full disclosure, I don't know AutoCAD. I have no desire to learn it, so I'm going to emulate everything that Wendy said regarding that part of Houzz Pro. But for me, similar story, Risa, it just all goes back to her. I met her a few years ago at a design conference, and so she pitched Houzz Pro, and we went through the walkthrough. I signed up like instantly or right when I got back home. And one of my biggest challenges was, how do I bill clients when for when we're making commission on products? Like, how do I send the invoice? And I was always worried they were going to see the commissions we're making. They're still getting a good deal through working with me. But that always was a challenge for me. And when she showed us in Houzz Pro all the products, you put the product in, you can manipulate it a couple of different ways, but you can put your the retail price, and so the client gets exposure to what they're saving, but they don't get exposure to our commissions, and it's 2 seconds. It took no time at all. And so my story is, within the first month of using Houzz Pro, I made the money back probably ×3 of what it cost for Houzz Pro, because I was able to professionally and without insecurity, put in all these products and be able to mark them up with confidence. And that was massive. And imagine now the revenues that we're garnering in the systems. There is no blood, sweat, and tears. There's, again, all joy and massive efficiency. Like, we save hours of time with this tool. And again, we're not paid by you, Liza.
Appreciate it anyway.
We are not.
Appreciate it. No.
It's like from the heart, I swear.
I love you guys. Anyway, we have the best time together. Yeah. So with that, I'd love to open it up for questions. Melissa, I know you've got a question out there. Since we're preaching to the choir.
Yeah. Thank you. No, I was going to say I love Houzz Pro too, and I'm not paid by them, but they're just they're amazing. So I kind of wanted to jump back to like the employee kind of thing, and I know like you had said that you started out contract, and so that's kind of where I'm at right now, where I've hired a couple of VAs to help me, but I was wanting somebody physical to help me bounce ideas off of and go with me to the showroom or go with, you know what I'm saying? So kind of interface with the clients, but it's that not necessarily fear, but just that uncertainty, because you're kind of like, well, I can barely pay myself, so how can I pay this person? But I know that it will help essentially with revenue increase. So how do you go from, and I know with an employee, you know, now you got to think about possible benefits. I mean, I wouldn't need somebody full time right now, but how do you like juggle that? I know you guys kind of touched on that a little bit, but that just seems to be the thing right now as you try to scale. What does that look like?
I'll start. Yeah. So I think the first thing is to ensure that the person you're hiring, this is the way I did it, and there's other ways to do it. So I'll just speak to what I know. Make sure the person you're hiring has billable hours, right? So that's obvious, but maybe it's not obvious to some people listening. So that every day that they can that you're going to bill back clients, whatever, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 5 hours a day, whatever whatever the person can work. If it's probably going to be a part-time person to start. So you can easily then calculate how much money you'll be able to make and how much more business you'll be able to take by knowing the revenue side, the income side. And then of course you'll know the expense side, because whatever you pay him or her, and then your net profit. So it's a really easy calculation, and you dive in that way and you start that way. I'm telling you, it's going to be the best thing of your 2022 when you do it. I promise. Like, I think Wendy will agree. One other quick thing, and then she'll answer, is If you're looking for people, we just had massive success. Again, this is obvious, but we wrote a very simple job description for our lead assistant designer. Our assistant designer. And we posted it on LinkedIn and we got incredible applicants. For the rate we're paying, like we don't pay that much right now. My goal is to pay people lots of money in the future, but right now it's not. But a lot of people want the experience. They want to work with a designer who's taking all the risks so they can sort of be a little behind the scenes. So you'll get a lot of applicants that way as well. So something to think about.
I would also caution you to remember state and local employment taxes and getting your EIN number and all of that, because it takes some time to set up, but government agencies are very quick to notice if you aren't as quick as they'd like you to be.
And don't be scared of the IRS either.
No, don't be afraid.
They're just big bullies.
Well, have a nice accountant that you trust, who's very well educated, who understands small business, who understands planning and projections. And you need to have a savings account, because this business, like many, there is an ebb and a flow. Yeah. There's times where you're absolutely slammed out of your mind and then no one calls the next week. And you're still working on all those projects that you're slammed out of your mind about, but you're like, nobody called this week, Yeah. And I'm going to go look on Houzz Pro and see what I can zip up as the latest job. Because that's always in the back of your mind, because once you're responsible for someone, the person that I am, I don't want to assign that to other people. I am committed to that person.
Yeah.
And like Serena as a publicist, Stephanie is my employee, and my parents' neighbor, and a mother of 3 kids who decided not to get her teaching credential because she thought it'd be fun to work for me. God help her. I mean, so you have to be ready also to create some boundaries, just like branding. Like this is where we are. And then as you get to know the person, you can trust the person, you can open up more, because this is a more intimate profession. And at least in the sphere that we're talking about. And you have to be prepared for that.
By the way, a really great book to read. I strongly recommend it. It's a business book, but it's for entrepreneurs. It's called Profit First. Melissa's MVP in the audience today.
She's got the things. Yeah. That's the things.
All the bank accounts.
Amazing. Well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your wisdom and your humor and your attitude and just the positivity today. I know it's going out to great audience here and a great audience next week as well. So thank you so much.